Coming up next. Stay tuned to learn more about the state of the art in blockchain and cryptocurrency technology. Reimagine 2020.
Hey everyone, my name is Taha Sajid. I'm a technical director in Huawei Technologies. I'm based in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and I'm ready to reimagine 2020.
Hey guys, it's Patrick McLain here, host of Reimagine 2020. I'm sitting here with a guy that I've never met. I'm sitting here with a guy that we were just talking. Taha, how long were we talking before this? Maybe 20 minutes?
Yeah, it's been 20 minutes or so.
To anyone listening, I like this guy.
I like Patrick too, by the way.
All right, see, we did it.
I think we'll have a good time. Yeah.
No, but we were just getting to talk a little bit at a very high level. And, I was kind of curious about his stance in the space, what he's worked on, and like cryptocurrency. And I think he might have a pretty unique perspective. So before we get going, Taha, introduce yourself. Maybe tell people a little bit about your background and why do you care about blockchain?
Okay. So as I told you, like I'm working with Huawei in their core technical team. I'm responsible for 5G cloud cybersecurity solutions. Besides my permanent role, I'm also an advisor of a Saudi blockchain company, which is Limar Global Tech. It's a Hyperledger member. So what my role is there is I'm a chief blockchain consultant there. I provide blockchain trainings. I'm a solution architect. So I basically help companies build blockchain solutions from scratch. And beside this, I'm also an advisor of some international companies, like a fintech advisor, in which I explored different use cases with enterprises and help build POCs for themselves. Yeah, so I'm pretty much excited. And why I landed in blockchain space, because I really like its potential, and I feel like there is a long way to go with respect to exploring different use cases, and it has a lot of potential, And when I started this blockchain journey in 2015, I didn't see much people using it. There was no such concepts of blockchain. So I thought, it would be a good opportunity for me to be able to educate the people and explore its potential. So since then, it's a long way. I help companies build blockchain solutions with respect to with respect to P2P payments, exchange solutions, wallet applications, or if you're talking about an enterprise blockchain solution. So I am also advisor of some supply chain use cases as well. So I'm pretty much active in this space, and I feel like this for this potential. For this technology, in order for its mass adoption, you need to educate the right people, as well as build different applications so that they can have a feel of things. And with all of this, we need to also we also need to take care of the cybersecurity measures, because imagine, you build a wonderful solution with all this high tag, all of this thing, with all of this immutability, and some hacker going to hack your platform, in which he actually hack $1 million from you, or use your system to attack a different system. So how you're gonna feel, So you have to secure your system. So my topic of the presentation will be revolving around the cybersecurity space as well, because what I thought is that companies who are building blockchain solutions are not considering cybersecurity. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I have never heard someone speak so fast in my entire life. Wait, no, for everybody watching this, and I honestly, when I got on with this guy, I was like, wait, because whatever, we won't go into details, but I was like, why are we on this call, right? And it was like from someone I know, and like he was affiliated with what he was doing, and I was like Taha right now does not know that like 15,000 people live are going to be watching him, right?
Yeah.
And And like that's why I loved like when I met him, I was like, he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't even know. He's just passionate, right?
Yeah.
Like, all right, so I was trying to hear everything you're saying, and I caught most of it. But for everybody else, you got to slow down a little bit.
Okay.
Breathe. Wait, is it safe to say that you love blockchain?
Yes,
Or
I
you
mean,
love the idea of blockchain?
no, I don't love the idea. I actually love the whole concept behind it, behind this immutability, behind the smart contracts, behind how it's building the ecosystem, how it bringing all the countries together to actually work on some use cases collaboratively. So I spend usually you can say in 4 to 5 hours researching about it or talking to people about it. Yeah.
See, guys, he just tried to slow down for us just a little bit. His brain is racing. All right, so my job the next 30 minutes is to decipher Taha's brain. All right, so let's get into questions.
Mhm.
So you're living in Saudi Arabia, right?
Yeah.
Were you born in Saudi Arabia?
No, I'm basically a Pakistani by nationality. So I came here in 2015. So it's been 5 years since I'm here.
Do you enjoy it?
It's actually quite a mixture of things because we have holy places over here, and it's been very traditional. But I'm a party guy myself. So when I came here initially, I thought what I'm gonna do here, and people are so much strict when it comes to religion and these things. So it's okay for me, but it's okay for me because I'm going outside, enjoying with my friends. But it's hard for the families, who are staying at home. Okay, but now things are relaxing, so it's okay now. I've been used to it, and we have adjusted ourselves.
So I was actually on the call earlier. We were talking about, do you know Remittance?
Yeah.
Like the Middle East, like Saudi, one of the biggest places for remittance, right? Workers
Mhm.
come and send money back home to their families, right?
Exactly.
How do you view that? Like, I guess I've never been to Saudi Arabia. I've been to Dubai, Qatar, etc., but never to Saudi
Mhm.
Arabia. So I'm just
Mhm.
curious, like your perspective. Like, do you think that blockchain is a good use case for something like remittance in the Middle East? Could it be a big use
Yeah,
case?
it's a good use case, but you also need to see about the existing solutions, because what I feel is that the existing P2P solutions are already much equipped with using AI or other technologies that it's working fine. So let's say if you want to introduce blockchain in remittance, you need to make sure that you have the system seamless. Make sure that the system or the application itself is easy to use, and it should save time in transactions and reduce cost, which is the two fundamental things.
Got it. I keep giving him a hand signal. He can't see. I'm trying to tell this guy to slow down just a little bit. I have a feeling this guy has a lot of information, and we're gonna get it out of him.
Yeah.
All right. So, tell me a bit about your day-to-day job or your passions. Like, are you a programmer? Well, I'll ask you a few questions. Can you write code?
No, I'm not a programmer.
Got it. So, what is your like? What do you do? What is it like? You work in security, right, at Huawei, or
Security in the core networks, in like the voice in the 5G core, in which we try to do the configuration of the systems, or do commissioning of the hardware and software things, like the technical aspect of the things. Plus I'm responsible to take care, like once we implement those hardware software measures, it's as per the cybersecurity compliance, and it should satisfy our customer needs.
got it? So you're part of Huawei 5G, or you're seeing 5G from Huawei.
Yeah. uh yeah.
So
Mhm.
there's many conversations around this, right? Like people are like kind of crazy about 5G. It like has this. I mean, I've been in technology most of my life. 3G wasn't really like an end time war. 4G wasn't really an end time war. 5G seems like fucking somebody is gonna die
Long
or
way.
something, right?
I see.
Like I when I look at 5G, I look at it in the sense of the Qualcomms of the past had kind of like had data chips or sets, right? Many European or Western countries probably don't want China or Huawei to kind of take the lead here. Right now, we could guess why. I would say that they want to still be in charge. They don't want anyone else to be in charge. But the interesting thing about 5G, and there's like articles I had read before, which were, really talking about like 2008 Olympics, where like during this like time in Beijing, China was like really able to highlight to world leaders, like, look at the technology we have, we have a whole system. It's cameras, it's AI software, it's connectivity, right? And it can do many things, right? It can help track a pandemic like COVID. It can find the criminal in the street, right? They highlight like many benefits of it. But I don't know. I guess I don't know much about 5G. I hear so much about it. I kind of imagine a box that people are installing everywhere now that like also has a port for a camera and like RFID sensor.
Actually, I'll tell you the concept behind it. See, whatever system that you are mentioning, like the IoT devices, the cameras, the sensors, what they actually are doing, they're actually capturing the data and processing it and transferring it to different places or different machine to machine. It could be machine to machine, or it could be a cell phone in which you demand a high throughput. So basically what does 5G do, or what does 5G, how 5G helps is to make sure that the data throughput that you are getting between the devices is maximum, even though we are now using big data, like billions of data packets are being exchanging from device to device. So all these things in which we are increasing the data size and we demand a high throughput. So 5G is the answer of it. And once we say like fintechs or the evolution of technologies, they all are driving the need of 5G, because once we are talking about different IoT sensors or different hubs exchanging the data, we need to have a high throughput in order for that thing to.
I mean, it's a ping rate, right? It's a matter of latency, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
like, it's not about bandwidth. They don't need to transfer HD movies. They need to react quickly.
Exactly.
Right? Like, the decisions they need to make are based on milliseconds. Therefore, the data needs to come back faster.
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
So when you think about that, and actually one of the things that always inspires me about blockchain is like really low powered devices. Like I see everybody when they look at Bitcoin or whatever, they think of it as you need these high powered machines to mine it, ASICs, right? And that every consensus algorithm or mechanism really can only be done by high powered computers, right? Obviously you have companies like IOTA, things like this, who are working on kind of, I would say, devices that are under 5 volts, right? Kind of IoT devices, could be a sensor or of some kind, right? Do you see a world where devices kind of come to blockchain and how 5G might interact with that?
I see. Like, once we want, because now as of now, if we're talking about specifically blockchain, it's working fine. We have seen public blockchains are transmitting the data. If you're talking about a web application or so, or even if you're doing a mining, it's working fine with this high specialized hardware. However, the need of 5G, once we go onto the smart cities building, or once we embed some high-tech projects in some smart city projects, then only we will see the real need of 5G. So what now, or how, or why companies are now focusing on 5G? Because they need to build the infrastructure for that, or for 1 year or 2 years or so. Once we have the adoption, you see, like, we don't have even the 5G handsets now, so now what companies are doing is to build an infrastructure, so that once we have the adoption, we'll be ready for that.
Got it. All right. No more about 5G. Now, and try to, I know you probably have 1,000 things in your brain, but like, try to distill down, like, what excites you about blockchain? Where do you see the technology now? And where do you see the technology in 5 years? And at one point, like, what are the use cases that you think can actually come from it?
Okay. So I kind of forget your first question, initial question, that what has driven me to
Like, why do you care? Why do you care? Like, what big vision do you see? And like, in
Mhm.
this, like, very clearly, what do you think is maybe, what do you think the evolution, you've been in the space, you told me earlier, for 5 years. What do you think has happened the last 5 years? And then what do you wish would happen the next 5 years? But then what do you think might be the reality the next 5 years?
Okay. Actually, so see, once I started like in 2015, 2014, there was a hype about Bitcoin, and people cannot differentiate blockchain technology with Bitcoin, So it takes them a while to actually understand the concept behind it. And once I actually, what has driven me to it is that the ease of this Bitcoin technology, in which it can be censorship resistant, or it can facilitate border to border or peer to peer payments within immutable thing. So when it comes to actual or seeing the use cases, what I feel is that what has encouraged its adoption is like the people don't rely, or people have or been a victim of some monetary policies in which their cash has been devalued, or they are being or they're having some sort of censorship once they are doing their transactions. So with Bitcoin, what I feel is that is due to due to its very core fundamentals, it has gained adoption. Okay, then once we started in zone 15, you have seen ICOs coming up. So in that phase, I feel like there were couple or some use cases which are being expanded so much, so that and this is a time of scams. So people who are being involved in those ICOs got fraud, and there was some fraudulent activities happened, which has restricted the growth of blockchain from then, in zone 17 era. But once the companies like, or once we have invented the smart contracts technology with Ethereum, people started to explore more of its potential when it comes to automation, when it comes to uh, automating the business processes, and also make good applications around it. So during that time, once we initiated this smart contracting, or once this smart contract was finished, actually regulators also came in between, in try to have some laws and regulations which can protect the customers. So there we see a lot of good use cases with Ethereum. Okay, and then Hyperledger within a private blockchain plays also its role, with respect to once people or the government agencies were not focused on, or were not totally rely on this public blockchain. So what Hyperledger has bring is that the concept of private blockchain, in which enterprises can also use it. So once we have seen the adoption of enterprise blockchain solution, then people will be or have felt more about it. So that's how things will change. And how
Okay, wait. And by the way, guys, I'm making him laugh. When he talks, Zoom records. When he's talking, he can't, the video will not show me. So it will, like, he can see me on the webcam. But, all right. Is it safe to say that you're excited about blockchain?
yes, pretty much.
Okay. Now, let's pull out for a second. Let's talk about real world use cases. So we know we have one use case. We know Bitcoin works, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we know Ethereum kind of works, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And maybe a few others here or there. But outside of the financial applications, like outside of the Bitcoins, outside of the Ethereums, which many people use for trading or whatever, do you think there's a role for not financial, everything outside of financial? Do you think there's a role for do you think there's a role for voting applications in blockchain? Do you think there's a role for land registries in blockchain? Do you think that there's a potential here? And I guess to ask you specifically, like in Saudi or Pakistan, whatever, the Middle East,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that the Middle East is going to adopt this? Like, do you think it's actually possible?
Actually, first I'll answer your first part of the question, in which you're asking the use case apart from the financial aspect. See, to be honest, if you're talking about an on-chain transaction, you can feel, you can see a good use case with supply chain or with trade finance, with, in terms of automating the business processes. However, if you talk about off-chain transactions, in off-chain, what you are basically doing is you are relying on IoT sensors or some third parties to give you that data, in which you're using the oracles or the APIs, but that process is somehow is vague, or how can I trust the data of the IoT sensors? It can be corrupted. Yeah. So if you're talking about an on-chain data, with supply chain or with any industry, with automation, by using smart contracts, by defining the consensus mechanism appropriate in order to handle those transactions, I see a good use case. Okay, but if you're talking about an off-chain and on-chain, like a hybrid model, we are already having a good solutions, with respect to, efficient cloud models. AWS is providing, very good relation database mechanisms in which.
So not everything needs to be decentralized. Like
Exactly.
most
That's my point.
applications. So actually, let's. Do you know what I've been working with a lot of enterprise companies lately, yeah, to deploy blockchain solutions for them. Part of like what our company does, and I've been telling people, right? It's like if you look at supply chain, right? It's like there's this cell of like blockchain is a really good use, supply chain is a really good use case for blockchain, right? And you look at it, it's okay, what does it do? So you say, okay, does blockchain like count the number of inventory? No. Does blockchain like validate that it's real? Like, does it validate the lab results? No. Right? You kind of go down this list. Like, it doesn't actually do anything. Like, it primarily does two things from what I can tell. One, it's a signature, right? So it's like a cryptographic signature. So you would say, okay, it might replace paperwork. So rather than a lab having to send paperwork that this product is authentic or whatever, you can replace it quickly by trusting that they have some key that only this lab can sign with, right? So when you see a signature from this lab with this key, you trust it, right? And you would trust their process. So you really need to be smart around signature, right?
Exactly.
So signature is a component. Now, here's where I think a lot of companies or people get it wrong. We're kind of approaching it in a detracted way, right? So it's like, I'll have a signature for my Bitcoin wallet, or maybe I'm an enterprise and I do some pilot with this supply chain person, right? And I rewrite all of signature. So I do signature all over again, right? For this specific pilot. Then I go to the next pilot and I do the same thing. I go and rewrite signature all over again, right? So we've been telling people, just solve signature once, right? If you're a company and you want to take blockchain seriously, then just solve signature one time, right? And it doesn't matter. It could be your product could reach a consumer at the end, or you could be you're touching a farmer, right? Solve it one time, and then just make sure that your process is tight, right? And that anything you ever do in the future, any blockchain application, use case, whatever, any addition you add or any extra thing you do of work should be feeding back to your core infrastructure, right? So you should be building on top of your core signature. And then the other side is just the distribution of data, right? So blockchain is either a signature, or it's that if you really don't trust your supplier, that like by the time the data comes from him to you will be corrupted, you can have from a scale of high to low, like decentralized or centralized system, right? So you could use a fairly centralized blockchain or public blockchain, right? So you could decentralize your data with as much ambiguity as you want, right? But outside of that, there's nothing. I mean, in my opinion,
That's what my point also. Yeah, you're right, absolutely. Because people see blockchain comes with a fancy branding. People think that, once they adapt blockchain, they can conquer the world.
Wow.
So
Well, no. The 2017, 2018 funding model of ICOs said that if you said your project was blockchain, then you were eligible to have an ICO, which meant you could raise $10 million without ever having to be held accountable to any investor. And that's really why. I mean, in all honesty, like there was never, none of this shit had anything to do with blockchain. I mean, if you go look at it, like what people associate with blockchain projects are not really blockchain. I mean, they kind of are, like, but it was a funding vehicle, right? And it gave the whole industry a bad name. And you said it earlier, actually, right? So, but like here we are, right? So now we have to take it seriously. And I'll tell you something I was just telling someone else. I talked to enough enterprises, yeah? And like even the reason you're in this call, like the Reimagine conference, we fund many universities through Mousebelt. If anyone hasn't seen, if any of the 20,000 people watching this live haven't seen Mousebelt, go fucking Google Mousebelt. You'll understand what it is. Go Google Mousebelt University. But through this, I've seen like we have it's called the Blockchain Education Alliance. So Stellar, Ripple, Neo, NEM, Binance, right, are all of our partners on this, right, for education of blockchain. So we talk with them, we communicate with this group of people, right? So on one side, I see the enterprise companies who like want to test blockchain, right? And on the other side, I see the blockchain protocols who, since 2018, have been trying to do pilots with these guys, right? And in 2018, everyone was like kind of interested, and then maybe someone left their job, right? And then like that was like the internal blockchain evangelist for X companies, so then like people stopped caring. So like all of these protocols have tried in enterprise, right? And for a variety of reasons, these pilots got fucked up, right? So now I'm looking at the enterprise companies that are kind of like, yeah, we've tried blockchain, right? And they're thinking about it in the next way they want to think about it. And then I'm looking at all the protocols and they're like, yeah, we don't care anymore. Like those pilots, like we don't really give a shit about them anymore, right? So it's these blockchain protocols, I feel like need validation. They need to prove that they can do 1 billion transactions, right? But then the companies that can give it to them, they hate now, right? So it's like this weird intersection of how do we roll it out, right? And like, why do private companies even care, right? Like it was sold as such a hype word, right? It was sold as such a buzzword that it's like the balloon ran out of air. So it was like and the entire economy just crashed, right? So it's like the entire economy just crashed. So like we don't want to spend any extra money. The balloon came out of the air on blockchain. All the protocols are fucking like tired of them. I think I know how. Go ahead. I'd like to hear.
You made a very strong point about blockchain protocols for the transactions. Enterprise looking for did some pilots in which they need to have some high transactions using those protocols. But what I feel is that actually the transactions are not so much pain points because we can have blockchain protocols, or we are having blockchain protocols which are very good when it comes to transactions per second, but they are not being adapted. What I feel is that how you can give your product to the market, in which you need to have a good acceptability, in which you actually build a use case considering the people or the problems of the people, like what they are facing. We are lacking, or enterprises especially are not being able to trigger the public masses, or for the masses in which to solve their problems. And secondly, once they are building such use case, they're not being able to educate their all ecosystem. Like for instance, if one department agrees to be a node validator, however, the second department is not agreeing with this, or they have some bureaucracy problems. So so what I feel is that if you are building an enterprise use case, or for any POC for your testing or for your clients, you need to have a complete, or you need to bring all the stakeholders into one place and make them actually understand the processes, needs to understand how that deployment phase will work, or how this whole life cycle of a project will work, and what is the actual benefits that we can get by building that product, and then how we can scale it. So we need to.
But you know what you're describing? You know how you solve it?
Hmm.
You just do it one time.
Sorry.
You just do it one time. Like, I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
One company comes with supply chain, blockchain use case,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then another company comes with supply chain, blockchain use case.
Okay.
Company one asks, oh, I need to speak with your supply chain manager. I need to speak with your logistics manager. All the bullshit. Then company two, I need to do this. Same fucking thing. They only need to write it one time.
Exactly.
If they just do it, if they just document it one time, it exponentially increases it lowers the barrier of cost, resources, and time to blockchain use cases.
And actually, Patrick, one more thing. What if we can have a global consortium of supply chain, for instance, in which they should set the framework. They should tell, what sort of nodes can be the validators, what sort of consensus protocol they should be using it, so that, and all the companies who wants to use this model can, can come into it. However, we are seeing
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait, we got to go out on a high note. I didn't even know you before this call, but let's build it. No, for everyone watching this call, this is a perfect moment where two people are talking about something and we actually know how to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like we're kind of getting to the point.
Exactly.
Let's fucking do it.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. I'm all for it.
No, but I mean, I'm being realistic, right? Like these are the roadblocks that really stop adoption. You know what I mean? And I think that to me, sometimes they're so clear that it's like, I'm confused. I'm like, fuck, I see it. Right? Like, but hey, I could finish this call for 2 more hours. We could talk probably for 2 more hours, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's leave it on that. What's his name? Frank Sinatra used to say, you know how I kill them? Is that I always leave on my best song. I don't leave the stage when they're bored and tired. I leave on my best song, and all their memories of me are that they love me.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're gonna go out on a big note. All right, you have 2 minutes, which for you will probably be 6 minutes, but 2 minutes. Just tell you the probably 5,000 students are probably watching this, and just in 2 minutes, just tell them, if you were a student today, how would you be thinking about blockchain?
Yeah. So if you are a student, blockchain has a lot of potential, and this is the right time to be involved in this technology because the technology is still evolving. And if you can build a strong concept around the technology and be passionate about it, because if you need to carry it forward in your career, you need to be passionate about it. And secondly, you need to have a proper guidance. So seek the guidance from the industry experts, not to every individual or to so claim industry experts. You need to see their, what sort of application they have worked on previously, and then seek the guidance, and then involve in the solutions part, learn the case studies about, how different solutions are working, what are the drawbacks of it, what sort of value addition that they can have it, and try to see, what sort of value addition you can yourself given, so you have to and plus, if you can set a goal for yourself, like 2 years down the time, what you think that you're going to be in the blockchain space, and then build a strategy around it. So so you have to take care of these things in order for you to have excel in this space. So all the best to you. I look forward.
You guys heard it here first. This is a positive ass motherfucker. Taha, wave to the audience. If not, Zoom won't kick to you. Wait, you gotta wave again. Wait, sorry, the mic, you have to talk. The camera only changes. Yeah, the camera only changes when you speak.
Okay. So
There it is. That's the guy. He has a positive message. Like, I like this guy. We're going to get you back in the next week. He has no idea what's about to go down. For everybody watching this right now, even if we play this whole clip, like, I know already, like, thousands of people are watching this. And, like, I like this guy. It was very nice talking to you.
nice talking to you, Patrick. And see you soon.
Let's keep the conversation going. In the next week, I will get you on, like, let's talk again. Like, this thing goes live on the 18th. And I'm telling you, if you can read even what I just got right now, like, we're bringing every thought leader into this, like, big thought leader, like, and not pushing anyone for small things. Like, but I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you, man. And especially you need to, see out my presentation, because I'll be, unfolding some real shit in the blockchain space with cybersecurity controls. And once you will see this presentation, you will see that, what sort of things you're missing on, because these are the topics that are not being covered usually in the conferences, and people and the companies tends to, hide these things. So, keep exploring and keep learning.
That dude just said, this is the shit that you're not going to see. I don't even know what to say anymore. This is in the first day of doing this conference. This was one of the more interesting interviews, and I actually really enjoyed it. So I'm about to hop off. We have another guest. Taha Sajid. Wait, am I saying it right? Taha Sajid?
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Last sentence. Tell the community. What do you got to say? Last sentence. One sentence, not 10.
Stay safe and enjoy the learning journey of this Reimagine 2020.
Wait, Mike, last question. Who's your favorite rapper?
Rapper? I like, I don't like rap songs too much, but I like Akon.
Akon?
Yeah.
And he's big in blockchain too.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it.
It was very nice talking to you, brother.
Thank you, man. See you.
Enjoy your day.
Thank you. Bye.
Stay tuned to learn more about the state of blockchain education at major universities all around the world. Reimagine 2020.